Good morning on this beautiful Sunday, the 16th of February 2025. This is a little thought-provoking video because I was just sitting here enjoying my morning cocoa and reflecting on some of the questions that I see posted on the various support groups, various alternative healing groups. And the same question keeps popping up: what kind of diet should I choose? Because there are so many conflicting information. But what I really like about what I also see in that context is that there is now a doubt as to whether it should be carnivore, ketovore, or vegetarian or Mediterranean or whatnot. We don't have to look that far back. I think maybe just a year, 2 years tops, and you would not see carnivore as an option at all in that game. But I see people being very confused about it, and I don't think it is something to be confused about at all. Because, as I've mentioned many times before, I'm sure of that, then you can find a study that is supporting the bias you have, whatever bias you may have. If I'm a vegetarian, I can go out there and I can dig out 10 studies that will support why a vegetarian diet is better than any other diet on the planet. And it will not even have to include animal welfare to sell it. And at the same time, if I wanted to support my idea that carnivore is the right way to go, I can find equally as many studies, almost, because it's a fairly new thing, but I will still be able to find solid studies that will provide information as to why that is the best one. And obviously you cannot have two diets in each end of the spectrum and both be right. So it just goes to show that you can find whatever you want to find in whatever rabbit hole you will want to crawl into. But if you're reverting back to the simple logic of how we evolved to eat, I don't think that's a difficult question. And I know that science, they then say, if we're talking breast cancer, which is a hormone-driven cancer, as they say, and the same goes with prostate cancer, they say don't eat red meat. But now it's been 1 year and a half, exactly a year and a half actually, 2 days ago, since I got my PSA, and I have been on a ketovore diet. I have predominantly had my minced beef patties with 3 eggs every meal, twice a day. The days where I get 2 meals, once a day, the days that I only get 1 meal. I'm eating when I'm hungry, I'm eating when I'm feeling like it. I'm not eating otherwise. And that is 1 or 2 days times a day, and I get between a half and a full pound of minced beef. It is grass-fed as far as I'm told, but I haven't followed the cow from the fields to the slaughterhouse or wherever it's been butchered. So I have to take the seller's word for it. And I can't help thinking or contemplating, what if the scientists are wrong? And I know this is not something I'm allowed to say if you're talking about all the, well, I don't know, turmoil there was during the COVID times. You're not allowed to question the science. But I am questioning the science, because I'm just sitting here thinking, how can I feel at my very best? And I mean feel very best. And I know those people say, you haven't done your MRI scan, you haven't done your PSMA PET scan, you haven't done all those scans again to see how it has progressed, because maybe it's gone very bad. I don't really care, because at the end of the day, you have as much information as you either want or the technology can provide for you. Reality of it is, 2 years ago or a year and a half ago when I got diagnosed, I had a PSMA PET scan despite the fact I was advised to do a bone scan and a CT scan. And I did that because of the percentage of risk of them being wrong, and then I just have to do it all over again anyway. But the metastasis they found was so small that they would not have caught it on a CT scan. And the PSMA PET scan that I did had only been approved 2 years prior to this by the FDA. This means that prior to that, I would have had no other options but the CT scan, and that means 2 years earlier, if I had been diagnosed then with the same diagnosis, I'd say physically, I would have been treated wrongly, because I would have been treated as somebody who had no spread, when in fact I do have spread. And so everybody who is talking about, oh, but you don't have this scan, you don't have this scan, this has scan. Well, other people that are so dependent on what stage we are in terms of technology. And I think you forget a little bit to stop and contemplate a little bit about how do you feel? What is important to you? To know that a scan says you do not have cancer, or is it to feel that you don't have cancer? Is it to know that your PSA level is at 0, yet you feel like crap because you're on all these kind of treatments that gives you sleep apnea, that gives you heat flashes, that gives you a problem with your libido, that causes you to get diabetes and all that? What is most important to you? To feel happy, content, and absolutely at your best? Or is it to have all the numbers? I don't know, the math is very simple. So back to the thing here, testosterone. I can't help thinking, sitting here a year and a half later, and really feeling well, absolutely 100%. Water pressure has been no change. There's a little bit of change to the better lately, but other than that, it's been the same low thing as before I got diagnosis. But I've been on this carnivore, ketovore kind of thing, and if red meat really is that lethal, if it is that much testosterone driven, and red meat provides testosterone, why am I still here? So I can't help thinking that what they're doing is that they have in their studies found that when they block for the testosterone, and this is just me making hypotheses or stuff like that, and later down the road we can sit and laugh about it, or maybe not. But I'm thinking that they found some positive results by using ADT, androgen deprivation therapy, but they are calling it androgen deprivation therapy. And there are several androgens in our bodies, and they block them all. And one of them are testosterone. And everybody keeps focusing on testosterone. But I'm just thinking, what if it is like watering the plants and they all die? And then you realize if you cut off the water supply, well, all right, the plants will still die, but now they'll die a lot slower. And then you conclude it must be because they cannot stand water. Water is bad for the plants. All the while, it is actually a component that is in the water that you then block along with the water that makes the plant die slower, simply because now they don't only die of thirst, they don't die of that problem that is in the water. What if that's what really is happening here? That the androgen deprivation therapy has blocked for a component that slows things down. Well, that's all it does, because it just cuts for the testosterone, it cuts for the androgens. But it's not the testosterone that is really the problem. And by going the natural route, as I'm doing with the focus on diet, I am not promoting that component, but I'm promoting testosterone. And testosterone is part of my health, it's part of my immune system, it's part of my well-being altogether. So by having that enhanced without having the component that is detrimental to my health enhanced as well, then I'm ending up with a better situation. Maybe there's something down along those lines going on, because I know it's just a layman terms that people say, oh, it's a testosterone blocker. It is not. It's an androgen deprivation therapy. But I am just thinking that there might be more to that androgen deprivation therapy than we're being led on, or maybe that the scientist knows. Maybe they have just stopped looking at it because now they know what they have to know on that specific topic, so they're looking at other options. But I'm kind of getting this intuitive feeling that out of I think it's 5 different androgens that we have, and that if you could tweak just one of those or 2 of those androgens without touching, for instance, testosterone, you would have a very different outcome. But I'm not a scientist. I'm just working based on intuition and based on what information I have and simple logic. And in this particular topic, there is none of it really, except from the fact that I've been now 1.5 years, like I said, and I've done a heavily testosterone promoting diet. Yet I'm still here feeling my best. and that would not be the case if it was as dangerous as it is made up to be. So either they are lying about what it's made up to be, or they're just being ignorant, and there are something more to the androgen deprivation therapy that we should look into. Anyway, morning note, a little bit technical for those who's not interested in it, but it's also my diary anyway, so I know what thoughts I had at what time, and I can go back and say, no, I did think that. Until next time, stay happy and healthy.